The weather models just showed something that made meteorologists stop in their tracks. A 981 millibar low-pressure system forming between Minnesota and Canada. This week, that's not just intense, that's historic for December. In the next 90 seconds, I'm going to show you why the next 2 weeks will bring some of the most turbulent weather we've seen all winter. At the 4-minute mark, you'll learn about the pattern that's brewing multiple monster storms. And at the 7-minute mark, I'll reveal what this means for Christmas and beyond. But first, let me show you what happened last night that nobody predicted. Areas west of Philadelphia just got buried, 6 to 8 inches of snow. And here's the twist. The models only showed this in the final 24 hours. That's been the pattern all winter. Storms intensifying at the last minute, snowfall totals jumping higher and higher in those final hours before the system hits. Why does this matter? Because if storms keep overperforming and the pattern is about to get more active, we could be looking at some serious winter weather events in the next 2 weeks. Let me ask you a critical question. Are you prepared for rapid changes? Because what's coming isn't a steady cold pattern or a steady warm pattern. It's chaos. Up and down temperatures. Cold blast, warm up, cold blast, warm up, back and forth. And as Ecclesiastes chapter 3 reminds us, there is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. We're entering a season of constant change. And here's why that's actually more dangerous than steady cold. When patterns are stagnant and unchanging, we struggle to get stronger storm systems. The atmosphere becomes stable, boring, even. But when there's a lot of ups and downs, that creates instability. Temperature contrasts. The collision of different air masses, and that's when intense winter storms form. The ingredients are coming together, and the models are showing it clearly. Tonight, it's brutally cold. Southeastern Virginia will drop into the upper teens. That's unusual, very unusual. If you're further inland or further north, you're seeing single digits. Some areas are experiencing negative temperatures right now. This is dangerous cold, the kind that demands respect and preparation. But here's what nobody's talking about. This cold doesn't last. Tomorrow, Monday the 15th, we're already seeing changes. A storm system in the northwest brings mountainous snow and lower elevation rainfall. The Great Lakes and Northeast continue with lake-effect snow as these really cold temperatures persist. Tuesday brings a clipper system, pretty standard when the trough in the east relaxes. The storm tracks move along the jet stream to the north, nothing unusual there. But Wednesday? That's when things start to get interesting. A major storm system begins developing out west, in the mountainous west, and it's not small. By Thursday the 18th, and this is where you need to pay close attention, a significant low develops, 981 millibars between Minnesota and Canada. Let me put that in perspective. A strong nor'easter might be 990 to 995 millibars. A major hurricane is often 950 to 970 millibars. 981 millibars in December over land? That's extreme. Really, really intense for this time of year. And it's bringing multiple threats. Heavy snowfall for Canada, obviously, but also the northern plains and Midwest get significant accumulation. But here's the danger most people aren't watching. Severe weather potential. Yes, severe weather. In December, thunderstorms across the deep south, maybe even the Midwest. Why? Because very intense Arctic air is moving in and colliding with warm, humid air from the Gulf. That contrast creates massive instability. And wintertime severe weather events do occur when you get these setups. Don't miss what I'm about to show you at the 7-minute mark about the Christmas pattern, because it's not what you're expecting. But first, let me walk you through what happens after this Thursday's storm. The system progresses toward the eastern states Friday the 19th, and it brings a very intense Arctic air mass with it, back and forth. We saw a milder push, and now Arctic air moves right back in. But here's the frustrating part for snow lovers in the east. With that primary low being up to the north, it leads to minimal snow chances. Even though we have Arctic air moving in, most of the precipitation is out ahead of it. So unless you're in very high elevation locations, you might just see a quick blast of snow at best. The colder air lasts for a couple of days, then another Canadian system moves through. The cold makes a comeback after the 20th. And then, as we approach Christmas, something changes. The jet stream goes flat, very flat, west to east, what meteorologists call transient flow or zonal flow. Still some colder air up to the north, a bit milder down to the south. But overall, it's pretty average. Not the torch, some people feared. Not the deep freeze, others hoped for. Just average. Thursday after Christmas brings a clipper system through the Great Lakes and Northeast, and this is where the models start hinting at something interesting. Both the European and GFS models are pointing to the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic as spots to watch. Maybe a clipper system tracking farther south than usual. It's very early. We're talking 8 to 10 days out. But the signal is there. As the book of Job tells us, he loads the thick cloud with moisture. The clouds scatter his lightning. They turn around and around by his guidance to accomplish all that he commands them on the face of the habitable world. These storms, these patterns, they're following paths we're only beginning to understand. And right now, those paths are converging toward active weather. Now here's where the pattern gets really interesting for late December. The GFS model shows something intriguing around the 20th. Lower pressure near the east coast, some inland snowfall as colder air moves in. It doesn't look like a massive threat yet, but the ingredients are there, a storm system and Arctic air. And anytime you have both of those puzzle pieces together, it's worth noting we get colder air around the 22nd. A warm-up for the 23rd and 24th, but then Christmas Day, the 25th, brings a cooldown that lasts through the 26th. And then, after Christmas, around the 29th, here's the big pattern shift. A massive Arctic air mass moves in, more similar to what we've seen recently. Very cold. Deep cold. And the models are showing a low offshore bringing heavy snowfall to the mid-Atlantic and northeast. Now, these specific details at this range are subject to change. Expected to change, really. We're talking 10 days out. But here's what matters. The model is showing that everything we're seeing now in current conditions and everything coming in the next week, it all supports a perspective where colder air makes a return after Christmas, with snowfall chances, and that actually aligns with what the long-range teleconnections are showing. The MJO, the Madden-Julian oscillation, what we're seeing in the Arctic, it all points toward this. The warmer pattern from the 20th through Christmas isn't super warm. It's just warmer. Above average, but not a torch. And it's shorter-lived than originally forecast. When it ends, we're left with colder air in the east again. Let's look at precipitation forecasts, because this tells us a lot. The European model shows very elevated precipitation out west. Absolutely. The atmospheric river pattern continues. The east shows acceptable precipitation. Not super elevated, but enough to support storm systems. The anomalies are interesting, slightly below normal for most of the east, pretty far below normal for the deep south, which desperately needs rain, and pretty far above normal out west. Now the snowfall forecast is fascinating. With the relaxation of the jet stream trough in the east, most storms are tracking much farther north, and snowfall chances move north with them. But out west, the mountain ranges are getting absolutely buried. Elevated precipitation amounts translate to massive snow totals in the Rockies, Cascades, Sierra Nevada. The GFS model's snowfall forecast is equally impressive for the mountainous west. And there's a bit more southern action at times, especially later in the model run where that eastern corridor starts looking interesting. But again, this is very far out. It's a good sign. But don't take away specifics yet. Temperature anomalies paint a clear picture of the back-and-forth pattern. Tonight, intense, historic for some areas, Arctic air mass lasts through tomorrow, still very cold Tuesday along the east. Milder push on the 18th and 19th. Then another Arctic air mass comes in. Brief warm-up, then brief Arctic air again. Then a warm-up, and some Arctic air in the north trying to push down the east coast just after Christmas. The GFS model agrees. Colder air, warmer air, colder air, warmer air, colder air. You get the point. And here's the critical takeaway from all of this. These back-and-forth temperature swings are going to increase the chance of storm systems. Not just any storm systems, very interesting storm systems, more intense ones. When you have cold air masses clashing with warm air masses, that's when the atmosphere becomes unstable. That's when storms rapidly intensify. That's when we get significant weather events. The 981 millibar low on Thursday? That's just the beginning. As we move through late December and into early January, these temperature contrasts continue, maybe even intensify. And each swing creates another opportunity for a major storm. Now let me tell you what you need to do over the next 2 weeks. Tonight and tomorrow, protect against the current Arctic blast. This is dangerous cold, single digits and teens for many areas. Check heating systems, protect pipes, limit outdoor exposure. Tuesday through Thursday, watch for the major storm system. If you're in the northern plains or upper Midwest, prepare for heavy snow. If you're in the deep south or Ohio Valley, monitor for severe weather potential Thursday. Friday and Saturday, another Arctic blast moves in, brief but intense. Temperatures drop fast. Any melted snow refreezes into ice. Next week, leading to Christmas, milder pattern develops, but stay alert, systems can still develop. The flat jet stream doesn't mean calm weather, just different weather. Christmas through New Year's, the pattern shifts again. Potential for significant winter weather after Christmas, models showing strong signals for Northeast and Mid-Atlantic. Early January, if the pattern continues as forecast, we could see some very active winter weather, multiple opportunities for snow, cold air returning, the kind of pattern that produces memorable winters. The key is flexibility. Don't lock in plans too far in advance. Weather is going to be volatile, changing, active. Check forecasts daily, multiple times a day if you have travel plans. This is not the winter to assume conditions will stay the same. And here's something important to remember. Last-minute intensification has been the trend. That storm last night that dropped 6 to 8 inches west of Philadelphia, the models only showed that in the final 24 hours. If that pattern continues, and I think it will, we need to stay vigilant right up until systems arrive. What looks like a minor event 3 days out could become a major event 24 hours out. The atmosphere is primed. The ingredients are there. The pattern is setting up. As Matthew chapter 24 verse 44 reminds us, therefore you also must be ready, for the Son of Man is coming at an hour you do not expect. We may not know exactly when or where the next major storm hits, but we know the pattern supports it, we know the conditions are favorable, we know we need to be ready. So prepare, stay informed, watch the forecasts, and don't be caught off guard. This is the time of year when weather can change lives, when storms can strand travelers, when cold can become dangerous, when preparation makes all the difference. Check on elderly neighbors. Make sure they have heat and supplies. Offer to help if they need it. Stock up on essentials. Not panic buying, just prudent preparation. Make sure you have what you need for a few days if weather turns severe. Keep your vehicles winterized. Full tank of gas, emergency kit, blankets, water, snacks. And most importantly, stay connected to forecasts, to family, to community, to faith. We're entering a turbulent period, but we can navigate it together. In tomorrow's forecast, I'm going to break down that Thursday storm in more detail. The timing, the snowfall amounts, the severe weather potential, everything you need to know to prepare, and I'll have updates on that post-Christmas pattern that's looking increasingly interesting. The models are showing monster storms brewing. The pattern is insane, but we're going to get through it prepared and informed. Stay safe, stay warm, and may God watch over you through every storm. Until tomorrow.